This meeting to order of the Parks Advisory Commission. We'll start with the roll call to my left.
Kelly Whitaker,
Keith Cecil,
Rhonda Ankney,
Roger Hitz.
and we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from last meeting?
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
I think I'll abstain just because I wasn't here. Is that the appropriate thing?
It's fair.
I support it, but I think I was abstaining.
That
Duly
works.
noted, thank you.
Okay. Let's move to the budget, so that I keep that on track here. Did everybody have a chance to review the budget?
Mhm.
I did see there was a guy on there, Daryl Calvert. Is that one of the architects?
So that is an easement that was purchased for the path.
Oh, for the path.
So
Okay.
you'll start seeing a few checks being cut for easements.
Awesome. Any other questions on the budget? Let's move to the new business. We've got our landscaping and maintenance responses back from the RFQs. Those are part of our packets. Any feedback from you guys on these before we discuss this?
I did reach out to the references that were provided by both Allscape and Baker Landscaping. Of course, as references, they're all very happy with their services. The two that I spoke with for Allscape, one was a business that has done landscaping, snow plowing, mowing, all of the above type services. And the other was a residential, and did all of he was the HOA president for Windcrest. So they did all of that landscaping, weed eating, mowing, fertilizing, everything for Windcrest. That was, again, this is Allscape. And they've worked with them for a couple of years and have been very happy. Both have said that Aaron, the owner, is very responsive, very reasonably priced. As for Baker Landscaping, the two individuals that I spoke to are homeowners in the Saddle Club subdivision. Both have been working with Baker for a couple of years and are primarily focusing on having their lawns taken care of, so not any other landscaping besides aerating, fertilizing, mowing. But again, with them, they were both very happy with their services and had said that the owner, Jared, is very responsive and takes pride in what he does. So that's the feedback that I've gotten.
Now, since you didn't get any on primary ground, I'll just say that first 2 years I was on the Parks Commission, primary grounds took care of it. And they relatively did a good job and watered the flowers every week and so forth. But last 2 years, their price has been just so much higher than everybody else's. That's why we haven't been using them. And they do the roundabout, but they have their names on there too, so.
I know there was some concern with the pricing and whether that dollar amount was fair for the amount of services that we were requesting. And Julie and I spoke with Austin, the master plan consultant, and he said based on national averages, it actually is below what you would expect to care for with other parks. So, and other landscaping type services.
Is that fair?
That is accurate.
Let's try this summer.
Okay, question I had, you do a breakdown or comparison between mowing costs when the town mowed it versus what they're quoting?
So I just did a breakdown for the lowest cost one.
Okay,
I'll tell you, I only did the math for that one.
all right.
But basically, the cost for the town to do mowing is $24.50 as opposed to what they're charging. So the parks cost for that one is essentially $29,691 is what would come out of your budget if you had the town do the mowing, as opposed to the $32,821 is what would come out of your budget if you just selected them. Because
Of course, fuel costs and everything's gone up since last year too.
Right.
And here it's gonna be going up more.
correct. But that's what they tell us.
I'm kind of in favor of having one vendor do all the work myself, just so that it feels like there's more responsibility for that person to claim their work, essentially.
I agree, since we have been, I guess nobody bids just on the mowing and lawn care and not the maintenance, so all three bid the same, so that's why I agree that we keep it as one package.
Yeah, I definitely think that it just lends itself if they're here weekly or more often, they see those
Yeah.
things as opposed to waiting on them coming
Yeah.
once a month or whatever. So I feel like it's just part of their routine to be doing both of those items.
I will also note, I think it was in Baker's response that he was basing the pricing of the care of the flowers that they plant on 22 weeks or 22 visits, and that it may be more than that, it may be less than that, but it was going to be a minimum of that price.
So it's not a not to exceed, it's a minimum.
That's what he has in his pricing.
Yeah.
I think that was the only one that had anything that wasn't set.
So I've also seen Allscapes and they've done it. I live in Windcrest and talked to Aaron as well. They've done a nice job there. They go kind of do a little bit above and beyond too, like for the seasons, they'll just put out some decorations in the front of our neighborhood too. That's not part of our contract, and he told me that they just do that. So that's kind of a nice touch that they do as well. It is interesting to me that there's some variance amongst, and I can't put my finger on it because it's not consistent if you look at but you know, again, yeah, I don't.
So for example, I think with like primary grounds, their mowing is higher, but I think that may just be a labor thing. I mean, it's possible that may just be a labor point versus like a maintenance point or, a visit point. That's speculation on my part, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, so then you look at primary grounds and, they've got 5,600 in landscaping at Witt and 3,800 in Switzer landscaping. And, you got 5,200 in Switzer landscaping with Allscape and 3,500. So, it doesn't quite make sense to me, but, I think what's nice is that they clarify what you're getting in each one of these in the bids. And so, I think that helps to make sure that it's not arbitrary.
And did we get that with primary grounds? Or did we just end up with a quote?
Well, no, we didn't have primary grounds. We had, what was it called? Greenleaf. That's who we had.
Oh, last time. I meant with their quote, did we get that breakdown with them? Am I missing
Oh,
it?
they filled out the checklist that we provided for them.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Baker,
Okay.
both Baker and
they just basically.
primary grounds filled out the,
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll do this, and this is how much it will be.
Okay. I wasn't
As
looking in the right
opposed
place.
to,
It's in there somewhere. Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we go with Allscape landscaping and lawn care not to exceed $36,192.
do we have a second? Any other discussion?
I'm still thinking.
are there specific concerns that you have?
No, I'm just trying to absorb for sure, which I looked at it before, but still understanding that all of the bids are in the same ballpark, right? And we know the work of primary grounds because they've done it before. Got good from Allscape, got a good recommendation from Baker, but just as being homeowners and residential as opposed to something that's other. So I kind of feel like I was just kind of balancing the primary grounds and Allscape quotes, understanding that one was less than the other, but not a great deal, so.
Out of fairness, I was kind of put down as a reference for Baker, but since Keith mentioned his HOA, Baker did our HOA last year.
Okay.
And I had no complaints with him at all. We didn't go back with him this year because his bid was much higher than 2 or 3 of the other bids that we received. But I don't think there were any problems with his work. Only to add to the confusion. It's tough because I feel certain that we receive good service out of any of them, either one of them.
So how often do we typically go with the lowest bid? I mean, that's pretty common, right? I mean, we would go outside of those parameters.
Typically, typically we go with the lowest and most responsive bidder. So if for some reason the lowest bidder is not provided a complete response, or they are lacking in a qualification of some type that we have requested, then that would be a justification for not selecting the low bidder.
Lowest bid. Okay.
Then based strictly on bid, I would second Mr. Hicks' motion.
Okay, all in favor of proceeding with like Allscapes Landscaping and Lawn Care bid, say aye. And none opposed.
So that'll appear on the council agenda on the 8th.
I would like to add a stipulation that they do post signs in the parks that they are responsible for the lawn care.
In the packet that was sent out, I requested that we have a meeting with whoever was chosen so that all of that information can be discussed as well.
Good, thank you.
Okay, and I think we are ready for our master plan update.
Excited.
Yes.
It's exciting. So I don't know how well you can hear me.
Well, Froggy.
Little froggy here. So, master plan committee, I think we had a very productive meeting last week. Had a lot of meetings lately. Between that and that part. So, a lot of good discussion on kind of where the parks are going and what those goals need to be for the next 5 years so that we can get there and provide those services and amenities that we'll want for our community, and what that means. So, obviously, if we try to be everything to everyone, that's not the best strategy. So what partnerships do we need to look at? What connections are there? Who's already in the community providing opportunities that we, like we've had a good conversation. We're probably not going to build soccer fields because we already have someone doing that really well. So what does that look like? What do those connections look like? And then also, at what point, what does staffing look like? What does that mean? How does that take shape? Just so that we take care of what we have and can be proud of it. We want to open Cap Heart, and we need to have a plan for how we take care of it. And in addition to the contract that we're looking at awarding tonight. So all those fun questions, an hour and a half or less.
So where are we in the planning phase? Are we getting to, is there a category for where we are with it? Or
I would say we will probably have a meeting with the steering committee. I have a meeting with the consultant next week to kind of digest all of that conversation from the last meeting. And for him, he was going to start outlining what some of those action steps can be and how we had this great discussion on what we want to do. But in the next 5 years, how do we go from today to what that future looks like?
Yeah.
So he's working on action steps and kind of what's that plan? So we'll need to get the committee back together to review that and make sure that it's realistic, attainable, and that we can have folks take ownership of those action steps so that we can accomplish them.
cool. Look forward to hearing those steps.
Absolutely.
I'm more than happy to share whatever I receive from him with the board so that you guys can keep providing feedback, we've got a lot going on with the board right now, and it's a good time to be providing feedback, so please continue.
Absolutely. And while we're on, anything else with the master plan? Questions on that one? So another update would be for Kephart. I know we've had, seems like some good progress there.
I feel like we're making good progress there. We heard today in council, we will be getting the 50% plans on Friday from the consultant. So we will definitely want folks to look at those, make comments before we keep going. And now's the time to give us feedback before we finalize. But we are still looking at the April bid date.
Okay.
So we'll get plans Friday, and then in 30 days, we'll get the 95% plans. So
In 30 days, I'm sorry?
So it's moving fast.
we're trying to move that right along.
It's exciting.
It is
I got
exciting.
one question that not really deal with this, but it's related. The trail system, is there a bid date set for that?
The connector trail.
Connector trail.
Yeah, so we've actually already bid that project. We had the pre-construction meeting with the contractor this morning. So we have 2 more parcels to officially acquire. And hopefully it'll happen here in the next couple weeks, but that trail project, there's a water line that's going in. Not exactly under the trail, but really close to the trail. So the water main will go first, and then the trail work will follow that. So we're hoping that they'll get started here.
Are they parallel to each other?
Yes,
Okay.
Are they separate contracts or?
yes.
We're still looking to a summer completion date.
Council would really like to open that at the 4th of July.
That's the date I heard. I
It's
hope that's
the
true.
date I keep hearing, so that is the target date.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for those updates. Any other questions on Kephart or Ms. Judy?
Any of these projects, I guess, would be a better question.
Yeah, right. There's plenty.
No questions from me.
Yeah, that, just as a side note, I know it's a lot extra to do all, but I know we appreciate all that you guys do to make this all happen. It's a lot of growth and put on. We've got high expectations for a small town staff, and then you guys are knocking it out of the park. So thank you for all that you do with all the stuff we're trying to do. Yeah, exciting times. So, okay. Any other new business? Oh, let's see. Brick paver sales for Legacy Plaza. We did not discuss there.
I don't have any
Don't have
updates
any
on it.
updates that? Okay. I know we were thinking about the website or doing some testing on whether or not we could pay online. Is that still kind of moving slowly?
Very slowly.
Okay.
Before I came down here, I just had a conversation with Kevin Killinger on what other option, because our first idea is temporarily stalled by another upgrade that we're doing. So we're looking at a second option right now, so.
Plan B.
Plan B is now moving forward, so we'll get you a little more info on that.
Great.
We do have a couple other options.
Okay. We hope it's not too complicated to take folks' money.
No,
All right. Let's see. Any other discussion items that anybody needs to bring forth at this point? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.